Okay, so number fagging update. So the final tally of the last stream was between like 20 and 30 people, and the final views it's currently up to 22. So that kind of makes more sense than YouTube. Makes more sense than the YouTube numbers I ever got, and it seems to be consistent. I almost want to do like one more stream where I don't post on on the thread or uh, the TVA general thread and TVA Discord general channel. Gonna give it one more shot because honestly, it's just using the resources available to me. Because honestly, I have like a word sheet for templates, and I just copy and paste everything. So it's like not even like half a second just to do another copy and paste to a couple like another couple of copies and pastes. So I don't know until the bong yells at me to stop doing it. I may as well just doing it, keep on doing it. I don't know. Let's see, news, lots of news. Leaked military files show Russia's nuclear strike threshold lower than previously known. Long and short of this one here is history never changes. I swear to fucking God, because global powers don't talk with each other, and the idle speculation for world powers of what the other is doing is always out to lunch. Always has been, always will be. And especially in this kind of, especially with this topic where it's like nuclear prepared, like nuclear strategy and plans and stuff. Like the threshold with Putin right now is like, well, as the title says, it's low. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone because Putin and his butt buddy have been saying like since day one, it's like they'll use them for whatever reason, with the air quotes of any perceived existential threat to the Russian homeland. Emphasis on air quotes. And it's just like I'm more surprised that people are surprised as far as this article goes. And I don't know, man. It's just like, it's just like people need to start taking this shit more seriously. And it's just like I'm still of the opinion we've had it too good for too long and stuff, and someone needs to do the funny just to put like context of reality back into people's minds for stupid shit like that. Speaking of which, Pentagon chief: if Ukraine is defeated, NATO will be at war with Russia. I question the validity of that because if you, let's say it's a hypothetical, if Ukraine falls, NATO can't do shit. Now, if Putin continues marching on to Poland or Finland, maybe. Well, definitely because it would trigger Article 5. But NATO, if Ukraine is defeated, NATO's not going to do shit. But again, like as I've covered last stream, and there's been rumblings up since then of Macron and all the other globalists, useful idiots in power are saber rattling. It's like, yeah, we need boots. We need officially boots on the ground in Ukraine. It's like, motherfucker, you're playing right now. You're playing plausible deniability with quote unquote mercenaries right now. If you have officially boots on the ground of NATO people and stuff, Putin's gonna be like, all right, it's go time. Fuck, these people are retarded. Although I do kind of agree with this point though. If you are a Baltic state, you are really worried about whether you are next. They know Putin. They know what he is capable of. And frankly, if Ukraine falls, I really believe that NATO will be in a fight with Russia, Austin said. And it's just like, yeah. But again, as greedy as Putin is to revive the corpse that is the Soviet Union, he's getting I can't say he's getting his ass handed to him, but he's not having as nearly an easy time in Ukraine as he initially thought and stuff. And I wonder if that would put the kibosh on any new plans to like go further afield. Because if Putin can lock down, his current territorial gains in western eastern Ukraine, he might just have to eat that L and take what he can get. And to get greedy enough to go to like the Baltics or Scandinavian stuff, that's beyond their ability at this point, quite honestly. So yeah, that's about it. Oh God, this I need a drink. Okay, yeah, prepare myself for this one. Blood pressure, behave. Berlin walks back plan for daycare sex rooms for toddlers to masturbate in privacy. The controversial plans were recommended by educational experts, read pedophiles, and included in the draft of a new education program for the city. The local government in the German capital of Berlin has ruled out introducing sex rooms for toddlers in state run daycare facilities, despite a recommendation having been included in an unpublished draft of the city's new education program. Who the fuck wrote this shit? Ah. The U-turn was announced by State Secretary for Youth and Family Falco Leach in a statement to John Freit on Monday. The Berlin daycare centers will be expressly no separate rooms for educational sexual exploration for the children among themselves, nor any guided or free other sexual educational concept, he told the news outlet. Heaven forbid. We are aware that the recommendations for action given to us from the scientific field, names, motherfucker, names, represent a different perspective. However, we expressly do not share these views and will not include these recommendations in the Berlin education program for daycare centers and daycare. I question whether or not they're doing this of their own volition or did someone rat them out. I have a feeling someone got like an advance notice for this recommendation and leaked it out to the local press, and then talks of lynchings probably followed not too long afterwards, and they're rolling it back. And I think they're more or less sorry they got caught again for this kind of shit, because you don't roll out sex for toddlers willy nilly without a reason. And that reason always comes back to the same thing, which is the thing that always belongs in the wood chipper, feet first. Fucking pedophiles. Left, right, and center. Jesus fuck. The idea was allow children to learn that masturbation is something normal and the sexual self gratification is great importance. It's like, you don't institutionalize that shit. No. This is not correspond with our ideas of child friendly education mandate, he added. Yeah, no shit. Fuck. Angry. Can we go back to World War III? That raises my blood pressure slightly less. Okay, this one's a little more fun. Columbia University Hospital DEI chief accused of plagiarizing Wikipedia 27 others in dissertation. In the continuation of a trend rocking elite, note the quotes, Institutions. Columbia University Medical Center's chief diversity, equity, and inclusion officer has been accused of massive plagiarism in his doctoral dissertation to include copying content from Wikipedia and poaching work of 27 other writers. Who the fuck copies and pastes from Wikipedia? That shit didn't fly. That shit didn't fly when I was in university. And that was before. That was before they had like I forget what the program was called, but like how teachers now can check up whether you've copy and pasted shit and stuff. That there it hasn't didn't exactly roll out when I was in university and stuff, but it's in effect now. And you think that shit would have gotten caught, but nope. Fucking shit stain. McCann took his post at Columbia in September. A job was created in 2001 as part of a Columbia quest to vanquish structural racism in healthcare. Just 2 weeks ago, McCann was quoted in the university profile declaring that everyone in the DEI office is committed to doing the work. Maybe the work of setting race relations back decades by imposing counterproductive DEI doctrine on Columbia Medical Center, but apparently not the work for doctoral dissertations. I like this quote. This is going to be a bloodbath in academia. I suspect at some point they will claim they care more about diversity than honesty. Oh, we're long past that. We're well past that. The Beacon reports that apparently plagiarized content represent about a fifth of McKenna's 163-page PhD dissertation. More than 2 pages are essentially identical to content on the Wikipedia page on, and I quote, Afrocentric education. Other passages reproduce the work of African academics. Take one small example. Here's Chica's, I'm not going to pronounce her name, Chica's paper. Several studies have established that, contrary to widespread beliefs, formal and informal education were actively in existence in Africa prior to the commencement of colonialism. At the formal, non formal, and informal levels, Africans in various parts of the continent were consistently involved in the business of transmitting knowledge to the younger generation. That's called being fucking human. That's what we do. It's one of the defining characteristics of our species. Black, white, doesn't matter. That's how we work as a species. You're not special. Fuck. And here's McCann with a few tweaks that differ from Chica's bolded and underlined. Several studies have established the contrary to widespread beliefs. Formal and informal education was actively in Africa's existence before colonialism's commencement. At the formal, non-formal, informal levels, African and various parts of the continent were consistently transmitting knowledge to a younger generation. While Columbia and McCann declined to comment to the New York Times, the spokeswoman for Iowa State told the Times that the school is in the process of reviewing the complaint and is committed to the highest ethical. I can't read that with straight faced. It's like bullshit. Ethical standards are gone, dead and gone. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I covered Sherry Ann Charleston before. Like just other examples of people getting, caught plagiarizing. Pretty sure I covered Sherry already. So I said this at the beginning of the at the congressional hearings when the whole Claudine Gay and all the other stuff, the fallout from that there started. I knew this. I just knew in the pit of my soul this was going to be a long, ongoing can of worms, and goddamn, I am thoroughly entertained. Get fucked. Georgia judge to hear new evidence, final statement in Fannie Willis disqualification case. On this episode of our ongoing Telenova program, starring Fannie Willis. Witness testimony has concluded, but attorneys still have much to argue in a motion to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis from prosecuting the high-profile racketeering case. I'm going to put air quotes around racketeering. Case against former President Donald Trump and 14 alleged co-conspirators for challenging the 2020 elections. I have a feeling this is not going to come to pass. Just have a hunch. So going over our timeline, we've been over this a million times. Okay, so it's wrapping up. They're still contest. Looks like they're still contesting the cell phone information, which we covered before. So it's going to be closing arguments, and probably going to be sometime this week. So I'm looking forward to it. From the files of I'm Not Fucking Surprised, Trudeau government virologists who transferred Ebola to Wuhan had clandestine relationship with Chinese agents, bombshell intel reveals. I'm not surprised. We've had Canada specifically, our biolabs have had breaches of security for decades. Like I don't know what the fuck CSIS is doing. Like our version of the FBI, CIA. Like I don't know what CSIS is doing and stuff, but there's been so many industrial espionage coming out of our biolabs for like ever and stuff. And this is just the latest incident that happened, and it's just like, goddamn, plug up the holes. So this bride and her husband got caught. They got stripped of security clearances and fired. Pair transferred deadly Ebola Henipa virus to Chinese Wuhan Institute of Virology in March 2019. Canadian Security Intelligence Service assessed the repeatedly lied about the extent of her work with institutions of the Chinese government. Just a reminder for anyone who doesn't know how China works: if you are part of any organization in China, you work for the government. You answer to someone who answers to someone in the government. That's just the way it works. Especially, you know, educated people who work abroad and do this industrial espionage shit. Refused to admit involvement in various Chinese programs, even when evidence was presented to her. Despite being given every opportunity in her interviews to describe her association with Chinese entities, Ms. Q continued to make blatant denials, feign ignorance, or tell outright lies. November 2020, Public Health Agency of Canada reported Q investigators weighed the adverse information and are in agreement with the CSIS assessment. Public Health Agency reporter Chang's activity says he allowed restricted visitors to work in laboratories unescorted, and on at least 2 occasions did not prevent unauthorized removal of laboratory materials. Chang was not forthcoming about his activities in collaboration with people from the government agencies of other countries, namely a member of the People's Republic of China. But wait, that goes much deeper than that. No shit. Deadly pathogens were a perfect candidate for the gain of function research as per CSIS. The work involves bat-borne disease that work on cross-species applications. Where have I heard that shit before? Yada yada yada. Just all the receipts. All the receipts. True dope. Yeah. This is a really pertinent section. Under Justin Trudeau's watch, the PRC and its entities, including the People's Liberation Army, were allowed to infiltrate Canada's top-level lab. They were able to transfer sensitive intellectual property and dangerous pathogens to the PRC. Reads a statement from Pierre Poilievre, leader of Canada's Conservative Party. Based on its own assessment, the Liberal government allowed a person who is very serious and incredible danger, a realistic and credible threat to Canada's economic security, I would read like security period, to access and compromise our country's top level lab, which works with some of the world's most dangerous viruses, such as Ebola. This is massive national security failure by Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government, which he fought tooth and nail to cover up. The opposition leader continued. Of course, Fucking Castro Jr. gets caught with his finger in the cookie jar all the goddamn time for all this stupid shit. And I have a later article towards the end uh, where some of his policies come back to bite him in the ass. So hold on to your butts for that one. Today is a good day to die. DI. And a huge win for DeSantis. University of Florida fires all diversity, equity, and inclusion staff. I had a ball when I read this one. Following a mandate by the Florida Board of Governors, the University of Florida has fired all DEI staff effective immediately to comply with the Florida Board of Governors Regulation 9.016 on prohibited expenditures. The University of Florida has closed the office of Chief Diversity Officer, eliminated DEI positions and administrative appointments, and halted DEI focused contracts with outside vendors, reads the statement from Provost J. Scott Engel. Under direction of the UF Human Resources, university employees whose positions were eliminated will receive UF standard 12-week pay. Approximately $5 million in funds previously allocated DEI initiatives will be reallocated to faculty recruitment fund. Blah blah blah. I don't know. It's just like, God bless Florida. God bless Florida. Praise hell, praise Dale. Couldn't happen to a bunch of nicer people. I don't believe 30 of you are watching again, and no one's commenting in chat, if for no other reason to tell me I sound stupid. Come on, you know you want to. Next. Oh god. Okay. Transgender Space Force Colonel says using pronouns in emails will help win wars. For those who don't know, it's like, oh god. During a speech to the U.S. Air Force, Transgender Space Force Colonel Bree Fram demanded everyone use pronouns in their emails as a way to enhance winning war fighting strategies. Again, this mentally disturbed individual is a colonel in the U.S. military, specifically the Space Force. Empire in decline. All too often, I hear leaders talk about providing everyone with dignity and respect like it's an aspirational goal. That's not enough, said Fram. Dignity and respect is bare minimum. It's the floor where we can be. We must set our sights higher and focus on intentional inclusivity because there's still far too many people out there, just not LGBTQ individuals, that feel marginalized, shut out, or discriminated against, he added. It's like, oh, the horror, the horror. Blah 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 blah. I like this little meme from Browns. When did the military suddenly have time for this nonsense? Dignity, respect aren't the goal; they're the bare minimum. We're here to fight wars, not babysit your emotions. Strap them to a fucking rocket and launch them at the Houthis. And yet they wonder why recruitment's at an all-time low. Yada, a bunch of twatter stuff, yada. Fram previously responded to online criticism. He was, of course, a victim of harassment and hate because people refused to dignify his pronouns by making some strange claims. You had amazing heroes in the revolution who just happened to be gay. You had over 400 documented cases of transgender people. Okay, this is made up bullshit. You had over 400 documented cases of transgender people serving during the Civil War for the Union, said Fram. It's like, citation needed. Probably much like his pronouns, they probably just pull him out of his ass. It's hiding behind the bad dragon he probably has strapped in all the time. As we documented in the video below, U.S. Army struggles to find new crews, particularly among young white males. I wonder why. I agree. Next. Health officials concerned over possible RSV, can't talk. RSV vaccine linked to rare neurological condition. Trust the science, they told us. At a time when the large mRNA COVID vaccine peer review study recently revealed increases in neurological, blood, and heart related conditions, along with the pharma industrial complex unleashing a blitzkrieg of vaccine commercials across corporate media outlets, a new report has found the vaccines for respiratory syncytial, I can talk science, syncytial virus could be causing a rare nervous system disorder in older adults. New York Times has reported that new safety data for two RSV vaccines presented at a meeting of scientific advisors to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Thursday indicates Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare condition where the immune system attacks nerve cells. That's a scary shit. That's scary shit. Leading to muscle weakness and paralysis may have occurred in adults over 60 who received the vaccines. Two vaccines, Pfizer's, of course, it's always Pfizer, Abriso, and GSK's Arexvy, are currently available on the market. Officials said the rare disease that attacks the immune system was found in 2 cases per 100,000 vaccinated, and that more data is needed to understand the risk. Yeah, because to be fair, there's no such thing in all of medicine and all of human history and for all time into the future, there's never going to be anything that's 100% safe. There's no such thing. But this is stuff that should be on the label and all that jazz, because as we've covered with the COVID-19 gene therapy shit and stuff, they didn't label any of that any side effects because they didn't know anything, because it got railroaded out the door immediately, and anytime someone said boo, they got shut down and canceled. Literally canceled. And of course, this has a widespread ramification of towards other vaccines, even legitimate ones and stuff. It puts a lot of them more under the microscope now, no pun intended, for like adverse reactions and stuff, and rightfully so. But that should have been there all the while, even before it went to market. So I don't know, kind of scary though. And just for the record, I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-gene therapy, and I want, and I'm, and when it comes to any science, I want like proper due diligence, which unfortunately is long gone, which is why I don't trust anything anymore. Oh, where was I? Okay, yeah, bouncing around. Speaking of which, study finds majority of patients with long COVID were vaccinated. Color me surprised. A recent study found the majority of patients who suffered from long COVID during a time when vaccines and antiviral treatments were widely available were vaccinated. Uh, Observational study published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine. Researchers interviewed 390. That's not a big sample size, and it's only in Thailand, who contracted COVID 19 during the fifth wave of COVID 19 pandemic when Omicron variant was dominant. Patients were followed by phone from 3 months after their diagnosis for a year to monitor their physical condition, mental health, sleep disturbances, and quality of life. Out of 390 people with COVID 19, 377, 97%, were vaccinated, 383, 98% underwent antiviral treatment, and 330, 78%, developed long COVID symptoms. The most frequently reported symptoms were fatigue and cough. Others reported symptoms include depression, anxiety, and poor sleep quality. The study found patients under 60 with cough as the initial symptom were more likely to develop the condition. In a subset of patients with long COVID, researchers found notable correlation in females with headaches, dizziness, and brain fog. Despite the extensive distribution of vaccines and antiviral therapies, prevalence of long COVID remains high. The authors of the paper wrote. So, as I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The longer time goes, it's just like, yeah, it's almost like some of us knew what we were talking about when all this here started. Eh, fancy that. I can't read. For damn. Long COVID. Yes. Back to the blood pressure series. Colorado Democrats, we'll come back to them in a bit because of the recent Supreme Court ruling. Colorado Democrats block legislation punishing child sex traffickers, suggesting criminals are also victims. Yeah, it's almost like these people protect our own. Many such cases. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, long story short, Democrats, as I like to call them, the party of pedos, are protecting their own and going soft on crime. And oh, they didn't mean it. The kid was asking for it. I agree with the meme. Feed the wood chipper. They're going over all the same usual talking points. It's like it's like they were born this way. It's like blah blah blah. I do like the closing line though. Colorado Democrats seem to be more outraged by the social media response after they struck down Bill 1092, with some arguing the Republicans' House members need self-censor. Online commentators posted pictures of wood chippers and nooses on the internet, which Democrats interpreted as a threat. No, it's not a threat. It's a promise. Don't get those two confused. I know these things are very complicated and difficult for you people, but a threat and a promise are two different things. Colorado House Speaker Julie oh my god, what the fuck is his name? McCluskey. That sounds like McCluskey. Actually, I'm going to go with that now. Julie McCluskey decided her office has contacted the Colorado State Patrol over online posts related to child trafficking bill as well as the trans rights legislation. It's like, oh, cry me a fucking river. Fuck these air quotes people. Okay. This isn't the first time I've seen something like this, and this is not going to be the last time I see something like this. London theater bans white people for black only slave play nights. A theater in the West End of London has received fierce criticism for planning to host 2 nights of a play where white people will not be welcome in the so-called blackout production of Slave Play, which will star Game of Thrones actor Kit Harington, will run at Noel. Okay, that's very appropriate. Noel Coward Theater, with dates 17th July and 17th September only being open to an all black identifying audience. So just identify as black and they can let you in. If they question you, it's like tell them they're being bigoted. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The theater describes the event, claiming blackout nights are purposeful creation of an environment where an all-black identifying audience can experience and discuss an event in performing arts, film, athletic, culture spaces free from the white gaze. Fucking shit stains. Jeremy O'Hara's playwright for Slave Play, which tells the story of 3 interracial couples. Okay, so if it's involving interracial couples, that means it's going to be white actors. So the deeper you look in these things, the more it falls apart. Role playing while on the plantation told BBC, I think one of the things we have to remember is that people have radically invited to space to know they belong there. In most places in the West, poor people and black people have been told they do not belong inside a theater. Bull fucking shit. Maybe if you fuckers get off your goddamn phones and shut the fuck up during a movie, you won't have Whitey going, shut the fuck up. Maybe behave like people and not like animals during a movie or a play. Just a thought. Exactly who is telling black people that now in 2024 in London isn't explained. He continues, there are a litany of places in all of our countries are generally inhabited only by white people. No one is saying by inviting black audience here you are invited. The idea of black out night is to say that the night where we are specifically inviting black people to fill up the space and feel safe. It really does sound a lot like the production has decided to make a point of uninviting white people from the attending the two shows or banning them more accurately. Commentating on the move, co-founder of the Conservatives Against Racism for Equality. Oh my God, for equality, LB Amenkona urged disgraceful British theater banning native Brits. We should not import. I do like this line though. We should not import American-style race relations to the UK. Black people and poor people have never been told you don't belong in theaters. Americans should keep their reverse Jim Crow crap to themselves. I agree. Yeah, like segregation in black, Canadian theater running black only events. I remember when that made the rounds. But it's shit we've seen before, and they're gonna do that stuff again. You know, there's like legally speaking, like you're not prohibited from doing anything because of your race, legally speaking, in the Western world now. So they have to make up shit. Many such cases. Okay, it's a little more interesting. Less clown world, arguably. Alaskan fisherman finds suspected spy balloon. A U.S. official confirmed CBS News on Friday night that the fishermen off the coast of Alaska found what appears to be a pretty big balloon. Speaking with government sources, other corporate media outlets said the debris could be a Chinese spy balloon. The crew of the commercial fishing vessel managed to lift the debris out of the water and is hauling it back to port in Alaska sometime this weekend. So it's very going to pass. Sources tell. I don't care about CNN. Yeah, so fishermen fished up what appears to be another spy balloon and gave it to the FBI. Who knows what the FBI is going to find about it, and who knows if we're going to hear back. But again, this is going to just ramp up. Mark my words. Oh God, this. Okay, I've covered this story for a while now, and this here revelation brings my piss to a boil. Democrat sheriff, where illegal immigrant accused of murder vowed not to cooperate with ICE. So, this chick was allegedly, air quotes, murdered by this Shistane. And the Democrat sheriff said during it's coming out, it's coming out after the fact, but those in the know at the time would have known. He ran on the platform for the position of position of sheriff. He ran on the platform of not complying with ICE, and to effectively make his jurisdiction a sanctuary jurisdiction, effectively. And the fact that he did not comply with ICE saying, "Hey, we have this guy under suspicion of X, Y, and Z. Can you hold on to him for us until we pick him up?" And he said no. And now I'm not saying it led to a girl getting murdered, but it led to a girl getting murdered. So fuck, evil sons of bitches. Both the people, both the people who actually do commit the murder and who indirectly aid in the bet. Fuck them all. Okay, this is a bit more of an essay, but it's one I kind of agree with and find interesting. Congress must investigate John Podesta's role in Biden's liquefied natural gas decision. Ever since 2016, talk to a liberal, and there's a good chance they will blame Russia for something: election interference, inflation, record high gas prices. The list goes on and on. Since taking office, Joe Biden continues to take this deflection to a new level. As a gallon of gas soars past $5 in the summer of 2022, it was all Russia's fault. And who can forget the ill-fated Putin's price hike campaign as Team Biden tried to dodge criticism for skyrocketing inflation? Yet, according to recent revelations, there may be more to Biden's America's last energy policy than meets the eye. And again, Russia enters the picture. According to the bombshell report from the Washington Free Beacon, the decision to halt American liquefied natural gas exports was pushed by Biden's new climate czar, John Podesta, who recently took over for John Kerry. I did not hear about this until it's like I totally missed out on that. So apparently, John Kerry's out and Podesta's in. Very interesting. As a well known climate warrior, it makes sense Podesta would be pushing for policies against American energy interests. Yet at the same time, Podesta's brother, Tony, one of DC's most well connected mega lobbyists, has financial connections to foreign LNG companies, including one with links to a Russian oligarch. It is concerning to see the Podesta family standing to profit from policy priority of the White House who employ another Podesta. Foreign companies, including Russia, are clear beneficiaries Biden's liquefied natural gas attack. It should be raising questions about potential conflicts of interest and profit motives for the White House. And it goes on and on for more details. But at the end of the day, this is why. Okay, this is one of many, many, many fucking reasons why the climate death cult is just one giant fucking scam. It's all a giant scam. And I do have a bunch of climate articles lined up towards the end or soon. But it's shit like this here where it's like you don't give a shit about the environment. You're just going for kickbacks and grifts. And again, I'm reminded of my favorite definition of a conspiracy. A conspiracy is not like a theory or a little boogeyman thing. No, a conspiracy all it is for two guys to fuck over a third guy. That's all it is. That's all it ever was. And it's shit like this. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get rid of all this fossil fuel shit and stuff. Huh? I wonder why. It's not for the environment. That's for damn sure. So the more you know, or more or less, a more like I should say, the more things change, the more they say same. Okay, I actually rearranged a few of them, just the back to back this here stuff. So this was wild, reading it happen. Germany confirms leaked audio of its top generals discussing blowing up Crimean Bridge. So long story short, the the Russian security apparatus intercepted a communication between uh, German generals talking about blowing up the Crimean Bridge. And the next couple articles has a lot more details to it and stuff, but that's the long and short of it. And of course, Germany has egg on their face right now because they got caught being fucking idiots. And just wait until we get into it. It's so fucking it's going over details, what kind of missiles, like you can listen to the recording if you want. Excuse me. Uh, I want to get to the really funny one. Okay. So the reason why I find this particularly funny is the reason why their communication got intercepted was, and I quote, generals discuss secrets of Ukraine war using off-the-shelf phone tech, one dialed from hotel room. They were using unsecured lines of communication. How the fuck are these people generals? This is basic intelligence 101. You do not communicate this kind of shit over an unsecure network or line. Assume everything's tapped. Fuck. This is fucking clown show. This is why I'm not. This is why I'm saying we are in World War III right now, and this should be a really scary thing. Not because of flying nukes or the concept of World War III. No, it's because of chuckle fucks like this, and just the the lack of competence from everyone involved shows you how things are going to go. Fuck. I mean, I mean, shit. There are people on the forum that have better OPSEC than this shit. Yeah, I was gonna say Nolan, but no, Nolan's not that. No, Nolan's like the opposite of OPSEC. Uh, but fuck, using an unsecure phone to discuss military matters and damning military matters of that. Holy fuck! Shit, or Shiza, as the case may be. And the fallout continues of this complete disaster for the German government. Schultz promises probe into very serious leak recording a plan to destroy Crimea Bridge. Yesterday, we detailed a leak of the wiretap telephone conversation, which senior German officers discussed the use of German terrorist missiles, training, and capabilities of the system, the possibility of destroying the Crimean Bridge. Sorry, it's like I can just sum it up. Sorry we got caught. Sorry I'm a retard. But the cat's out of the bag. I agree. And it's going over details of everyone involved. I really don't give a shit. Fucking Krauts. Krauts left, right, and center. Uh, minute by, like, you can watch the video. Here's written out play by play. But it's just like, what more needs to be said, honestly. Okay, I like this. Let's see. Many parts of the conversation revolve around efforts to support the Ukrainians directly. So, like, France said this just like days ago, and now Germany's got in on this here too. Support Ukrainians directly, including people on the ground, and thus play a direct role in the attacks in Russia. They are looking solutions to tricks to prevent this from appearing to be the case. You're not fooling anyone. You're not fooling anyone with the mercenaries right now. And this here is just fuck. Sleepwalkers at work. World War III probably already begun. I've been saying this for a while now. We are in World War III. Oh shit. This leak is a complete disaster for the German government. It shows hesitation, incompetence, and dishonesty. Finally, I noticed that the talks were conducted in a very uncoordinated and unstructured manner. It would be wiser if Chancellor Scholz were to bring himself to negotiate with the Russians, because there's no way going to win a war against Russia. To do everything possible to provoke world war, sometimes I wonder whether it is actually people who are deliberately pursuing this goal. The answer is yes. Yes. Definitely yes. And these people, I like to call fucking insane. Unfortunately, they are the richest and most powerful people in the world. And they're batshit insane. Okay, this one here gave me a bit of a chuckle. Watch. MSNBC legal analyst calls for regulation of disinformation as trust in corporate media collapses. I'm not going to play the clip, but the long and short of this is yet another quote unquote big ass air quotes journalist pisses and moans about how people don't trust the media anymore. Motherfucker, you're the reason why no one trusts the media anymore. And they want to go back to the good old days where they control the flow of information. And the only way they're going to have that happen again is if daddy government comes in and effectively what they tried to do before was to establish a ministry of truth. And of course, they got called out on that in a fucking hurry, and and they're still pissed about that. So that's all it comes down to. They want to return. They want to return to the good old days, and that they're once the internet was created, the days for mainstream media were done. And God bless. God bless the internet. Full of cats, full of porn, and full of misinformation. Oh God. Washington Post reporter mocks shoplifting stories as the panic of a sticky fingered nation built on stolen land. Washington Post writer Maura Jutgis is under fire this week for a column in which she mocks shoplifting stories as the moral panic of a nation built on stolen land. Yep, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a whataboutism 101. It's like, oh, it's okay for people to steal because this land that we're on right now was stolen anyway. So why bother maintaining the law of the land and rules? Just go hog wild. She adds, America is a sticky fingered nation built on stolen land, and its current moral panic is about shoplifting. It's not just a worry in Columbia Heights, it's all over the country. From sea to shining CVS, there are concerns about petty theft. She dismisses shoplifting as political talking point, despite many stories calling such stories citing such crimes as a reason for closing stores in various cities, and we cover this repeatedly, and it's just never going to stop until everything's closed. And again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We are returning back to the old days where you have to go to the register or the desk and be like, "Hey, here's my shopping list." If they go to the back and get you your stuff, you pay before they hand it to you. We're going back to that. We're going back to the good old days of the general store, the old time store. Uh, what was this one? You call them Crooked Cohen. The COVID pandemic. Oh, yeah, this. The COVID pandemic created some of the worst science writing in our lifetime. Major media outlets failed at providing readers with accurate, balanced news across a host of issues, including vaccines, masks, lockdowns, and how the virus likely began spreading through the human population. It's critical to call news we read over the last 4 years science writing and not reporting, because few science media outlets do any actual reporting. I agree. What science writers label reporting is just calling up the known experts and then quoting them as the known experts. This is why anytime I see anything that says like experts say or consensus is like immediately goes in the fucking garbage because it's fucking worthless. Science writers report for, not on science. So this is a long rebuttal essay by a science writer, and all these points I agree with, and it's worthwhile read on your own time. But the long and short of it is that as I've covered this here before, in that there was a concerted effort to have the narrative when Corona started, and they really circled the wagons on the concept of the like the appeal to authority, and like, experts say the scientific consensus and blah 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 and all those weasel words and stuff to like convince people that they know what they're on about, even though they weren't. They didn't know what they were on about, other than the fact they knew what they were on about when it came to they had a plan for, you know this literal conspiracy to fuck over everyone else. The quote unquote science journalists and the medical establishment conspired against the common people in this regard. That's conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory. There's a difference. Saying, like I remember the original talking points of how, oh, it came from the wet market. Oh, it came from like, I don't know, pig, pangolin, a bunch of other stuff. And it's like, but even from day one, a lot of people, even these people, even the chosen clergy, a good chunk of them kind of figured out it's like it probably came from the lab, but that wasn't the talking point they went with. And fuck, it went right to the top. Fucking Fauci. It's like Fauci knew, and he was like, okay. It's like I'm aware, and he still went on with his initial plan of like control the narrative and all that shit. And it's just like, again, most researchers say it's like, ugh. Yeah, so like what the main talking points were: mutations of COVID virus do not appear to be natural. There was suspicion the mutation was inserted into the virus. Like this is shit we figured out pretty early on, but they really buried as a matter of course. And these suspicions were heightened because the Wuhan scientists were doing dangerous gain of function research, and the outbreak began in Wuhan. And again, this gain of function research was offshored by the American government, and it was being funded by the American government. So it's kind of funny. It came back to bite him in the ass. And of course, the author was going is in a bit of a slap fight with one of the cheerleaders of the initial uh, gay op, and they're going back and forth and stuff, and fucking I actually read the back and forth on Twitter, and it's fucking savage. I just love it. Uh, so this here essay is just one giant rebuttal against fuck a fucking useless idiot who did his best to be a good little brown shirt for his masters, and this guy was having none of it, and I agree. Never forgive, never forget. They want you to forgive and forget, but never forgive and forget. Ah. Oh, possibly the most overtly racist segment ever on MSNBC. The voting public, especially a rural voting public, should brace themselves for an avalanche of mainstream media and punditry hate directed towards them in the months leading to the November election. A Thursday, the Zero Hedge. I love you guys, but English. I know you're all business majors, and English English is not your main bag, but fuck. Uh, Thursday, the Blue MSNBC segment was somewhat shocking, even for mainstream terms, of the extent a whole demographic of Americans are visually attacked and stereotyped, labeled as all the same. One online commentator rightly pointed out this might be the most overtly racist thing people say on TV. And I got a video. I'm not gonna. It's fucking infuriating. Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna read the highlight. University of Maryland political science professor, right in the garbage, Thomas Schaller, op-ed writer Paul Waldman were in MSNBC's Morning Joe studio to promote their book titled White Rural Rage, the Threat to American Democracy. They repeatedly call whites in the countryside across the land racist and anti-democracy. They are the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay, geo-demographic group in the country, Schuyler said. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers election denialism, COVID denialism instead of scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. So all that apply to the entire race of people living in rural areas. The aforementioned commentator, educated hillbilly, further highlights that this particular segment is notable for being far more in your face than blatant. He complained, I have not seen anyone on TV say all black people are XYZ. This is blatantly racist way of accept and uh, and be accepted on mainstream. So and get support from everyone while saying it. The authors continue their rant with Shaler's saying further, white rural people, they don't believe in an independent press, free speech. No, motherfucker, you guys don't. You want to control everything. Fuck off. They're more likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy. They also most strongly white nationalists and white Christian nationalists, Shaler said. Fourth, they're most likely to excuse and justify violence as acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse. Bull fucking shit. You guys are Antifa. You guys are the ones dressing up like ninjas and bike locking people in the heads. Fuck off. As for co-author Waldman, he called Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump a conduit for white rural voters' rage and anger. All that Trump gave him was essentially a way to essentially give a big middle finger to Democrats. Yes, agreed. To people who live in cities and the rest of the country. Yes. Sadly, the road November will likely be paved with much more of this elite corporate media racism unleashed on Trump supporters and rural and poor white people. Baskets of deplorables, if I remember correctly. That is what we were called by Hilda Beast herself. Election season, election year is going to be wild. Okay. Gonna open up these ones back to back. Okay, rearrange this in a little more better order. Let's see. Okay. So start off with the oil price version. This okay, so these here articles back to back are kind of related to each other in that it's kind of almost like the GamerGate time where everyone released the same article at the same time and it was weird. But then again, in hindsight, we knew what it was. It was a fucking gay op, and this here seems like a gay op too. So long story short, geoengineering: 3 novel ways to artificially alter the climate. Spoiler alert: leave the planet alone. This is how you. It's like Humanity is so full of itself. It screws things up, and and to unscrew itself, it's going to screw up in an even bigger manner than it was before. Just don't do anything. Don't do anything. Just stop what you're doing and don't do anything. The system will fix itself. Let's see. One geoengineering method involves spraying sulfate aerosols in the atmosphere to reflect away sunlight. Another solar geoengineering method involves brightening clouds above the oceans, causing the clouds to reflect away more light that can be absorbed by dark ocean below. Carbon capture requires extensive investments for effective on a global scale. So pretty much it just goes over, it expands all these points and stuff, but they're all self-explanatory points in that they're just geoengineering things that humans shouldn't be doing. Like the cloud, like the cloud cover, artificial, like artificial rain, and all this here, fucking Monty Burns blocking the sun level shit. It's like just don't do it. Artificial rainmaking, don't do that. So yeah, so that's just like an introductory to these things, and then there's a commentary on them. Drastic and irreversible climate geoengineering worries scientists. It should worry everyone. The Earth is too hot and only getting hotter, according to governments and global bodies such as the United Nations, and the efforts to reduce carbon dioxide aren't having enough of an effect. The world is passing through 1.5 degrees ceiling and is headed much higher unless steps are taken to affect Earth's energy imbalances. James Hansen, the previous director of NASA Goddard Institute for Space Studies, warned in January, you can go fuck yourself. I don't care what you say. Fuck off. Leave the planet alone. So again, going over the geoengineering things, mostly the cloud cover and cloud seeding. If you ever watch the Animatrix, pretty much when they block out the sun to stop the robots, pretty much that kind of shit. That's what they want to do. It's like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. Yes, yes, it will. The law of unintended consequences are firmly in place for this level of shit. Geoengineering the climate is a very scary prospect. I agree. It's something that should be relegated to the fantasy realm in science fiction. I agree. Going over other examples of how the geoengineer. Okay, I like this line. Let's see. You might be able to generate some plausible argument for defining the actual parasol getting into space, he said, but the part you don't understand is how climate will respond to it. Because we've been pushing this propaganda as being able to solve a problem, it starts to appear like an engineering problem where you can do trial and error and see if it works or doesn't work. But the climate problem is not an engineering problem, it's a fundamental scientific problem. It's more subtle and complex. I agree. Go over examples and the actual full article paywall. So that's pretty much the long and short of it. And this is also another companion piece to it, but this is more or less information I covered before. In that, uh, the basis that they're doing for the whole global warming shit and stuff, they're using bad data. And I've covered in the past of how the information they have is bad because it's like it's too recent. There's so many outliers. There are outliers. They're like their equations are mixed up. And one of my favorite ones that I covered not too long ago was how garbage in, garbage out is a very easy concept for data. And I don't trust any climate data nowadays because there's a very important point in that most of the weather stations are in the middle of cities, which are hot. So it's garbage information because it's like the information you're getting is not representative of everything because you have like for example like the thermometer will be like by an exhaust or like in a parking lot or, or like effectively in the middle of the city where there's so much heat coming off buildings and stuff. It's just like it's an artificial number, so it's garbage number and garbage data. And going over other examples of how the information is squirrely and I don't trust it. So yeah, more or less the stuff I've covered before. Gonna open up a bunch because I've been bouncing around. Let's see. I've read that one. I've read that one. I've read that one. I've read that one. Okay, I did that one. That one. Okay. There. That's all left in the pipe. We definitely messed up. Google co founder address woke Gemini fiasco. Bullshit, you got caught. We definitely messed up in the image generation and was mostly due to not thorough testing. Google co-founder Sergey Brin said in Gemini hackathon regarding the controversy surrounding Gemini, a woke artificial intelligence bot which has been criticized for misinformation and disinformation. A video featuring Brin, currently a major shareholder in Alphabet, the parent company of Google, shows him making no apologies for the historical inaccuracies and woke biases in Gemini. Again, he's not sorry for anything, he's just sorry he got caught. X users immediately notice a man at the event sitting at a table in front of Brin wearing what appears to be a body print of a woman's naked torso, including breasts. Weird, huh? Oh, God. Uh, there's a certain kind of people who works at Alphabet. I'm just going to call it right there. We've been over this before, like the black Indians, black popes, black Vikings, black Nazis. So fucking stupid. But again, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the I am thankful that this stuff is so egregious that even Joe Blow normie is catching on and not putting up with this shit. It's great. Okay. Another one. Trump hunter Letita James spent thousands on luxury travel and all sorts of other malarkey. While Georgia Trump prosecutor Fannie Willis is embroiled in the Fanny Gate. I feel dirty just saying that. Paying her boyfriend nearly $1 million to help her get Trump while he flew to them on allegedly cash reimbursed lavish vacations, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been spending tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars on all sorts of personal benefits, according to a recent analysis of a recent financial disclosure by ex-user Mel. The findings are damning. James spent more than $15,000 on luxury hotels in Puerto Rico, $20,000 per year in meals, spacing. $7,000 dropped on a New York nightclub and was billed as an office. Ballsy on that one. Whew. And $84,000 in airfare to fly over the country. Yep. That's a lot of money. She also stayed at Beverly Hills, Wilshire, and claimed $65,000 in reimbursements to campaign consultants, which, as ex-user Jim Reed notes, could literally be anything. Speaking of campaign consultants, can anyone tell me why a state attorney general would need to spend over $300,000 in a single year on campaign consultants when she just won re-election previous November? What could she possibly consulting on? Furthermore, why do these $1 million campaign consultancy firms always seem to be run out of a random 2-bedroom apartment? Good question. Next question. To be clear, Miss James isn't breaking the law with her expenditures, but considering the high bar she set for Trump in his civil fraud case, it's more than a little galling that she plays so fast and loose with what she deems to be legitimate campaign expenses. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Rules for me, not for thee. For thee, not for me. And every other permutation of that expression. Yep. Okay. So I got a good chuckle out of this one. Trudeau scraps event with Italy's Meloni after pro-Palestinian protesters Palestinian protesters block venue entrance. The Canadian government and Trudeau administration apparently cowered in the face of a sizable group of protesters angry at the soaring death toll in Gaza. And Canada's pro-Israel policies Saturday. Typically, heads of state, top government officials, and their schedules and access to high security venues take precedence, but apparently, in this situation, pro Palestinian protesters were allowed to win. A reception meant the cap off a day meeting between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his Italian counterpart was abruptly canceled on Saturday after protesters blocked the entrances to the venue and kept key figures, including the guest of honor, from getting in, a Canadian national broadcaster reported. The protesters charged that Trudeau is funding genocide in Gaza, given the supply of Canadian defense items to Israel, despite the government's attempt to downplay. There has been a growing controversy over Canadian arms supplied to Israel as of late. But when it comes to reaction to major world events and foreign conflicts, Canada typically plays junior partner to Washington policy, regardless of whichever administration is in the White House. Due to security concerns, the event was canceled. A statement in the Prime Minister's office told CBC News. Excuse me. It happened at the Art Gallery of Ontario, where crowds completely took over the steps in a large entrance area. Police apparently stood by while it unfolded. Demonstrators were shouting pro-Palestine slogans, waving large flags and banners while huddling close together at the building entrances. Reports describe some 200 to 300 protesters were present. It's unclear if any arrests were made. I doubt it. But apparently they were there in big enough numbers to block all key entrances. One report describes that the disruption marked the tumultuous ending to an otherwise cordial day of meetings in Toronto, during which Trudeau and Meloni said they agreed to establish a Canada-Italy roadmap for enhanced cooperation. The Toronto Police Service said it is reviewing its response, or lack thereof, and the series of events that led Trudeau's team to scrap the event. Cuck's going to cuck. Okay, this is a well written, worth reading essay, but it's stuff I've talked about before, and we all should know by now. For socialists, it doesn't matter if socialism works. What matters is power. Duh. That's communism 101. A recent rash of libertarian leaning right wing podcasters rehashing of the shop Warren takedown of socialism has bothered me to the point of launching into this essay. It goes something like, why is this still a thing? When are they going to realize that it doesn't work and drop it? Because they don't want it to work. They want the power. And he goes over all the usual talking points of like, you can't argue with these people because they're believers. You know, in the absence of God, they'll make their own religion, and communism is their religion. And they are the ordained priest of the will of the people. Air quotes. And going over all the modern woke clown world stuff. You know, I do like this because it's kind of funny. You know, the response, it's like you're just digging yourself deeper in a rhetorical pit. You know, the response to this, say them with me, that wasn't real communism. That was all just one bad guy in charge, not an indictment on the system itself. It was the leftover greed and sadism from the market economy. Marxism is scientifically sound. It just requires a maturation period for people to learn the right values, and then it all turns to paradise. Are these platitudes frustrating? Well, anyone arguing it doesn't work has tactically agreed to the exact same underlying premises. Blah, 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 blah. Actually, I do like these points. This plays to two Marx's greatest historical swindles. First, commerce and all human action can be scientifically engineered by a central authority to produce desired ends. They can't. Second, the nobility of those ends in the intermediate future justifies any and all means potentially limitless suffering in the present. The reward of the future, of things to come. Again, just another flavor of religion, but one with a higher byte count. Hi-oh. Ruin and collectivism, mass in the market, necessitates a totalitarian state. So yep, it's a very succinct essay and breakdown of the usual back and forth we see with the tankies and commies and all the other idiots and stuff, and it's just so tiring. But they're never going to learn because they don't want to. Simple as. Speaking of clown world and idiots, chaos at Georgia Six Flags as violent mob invades, ends in shootout with police. After opening for one day, Six Flags Amusement Park near Atlanta, Georgia was overrun by a mob of 600 rioters. Yeah, they all look kind of similar. Can't put my finger on it. They proceeded to fight each other and destroy property. You know, try to not act like animals for once. Maybe. The incident led to a shootout involving Cobb County Police Department and resulted in hospitalization of an alleged assailant. As officers followed the crowd out, ensuring they left the property, an unknown number of suspects fired at officers. An officer returned fire, striking one of the suspects. Cobb County Police Department said the establishment media has decided to focus primarily on the shooting of an unnamed 15-year-old involved with police altercation, and many outlets have ignored the events leading up to the incident. The suspect, whose name was not released by police, was transported to the Grady Memorial Hospital after receiving medical treatment at the scene. His condition was unknown at the time. The likelihood of the teen being a minority is high. And the media's focus may be preparation for an attempt to provoke BLM like response in the near future. You know it, baby. Let no crisis go to waste. Rules for articles. Fuck. So, yep. Nig's gonna nog. Many such cases. And Clown World wants to raise my blood pressure. British man jailed for 2 years over stickers as Prime Minister whines about democracy. An unelected British Prime Minister, British Prime Minister Sunak whines about democracy. A man in the UK was imprisoned for 2 years for the crime of distributing stickers that criticize mass migration. Look at that fucking criminal. Yes, really. Sam Melia, who has a young daughter and a wife 8 months pregnant with her second child, is behind bars after a judge ruled he has incited racial hatred by distributing the stickers. The stickers included phrases reject white guilt, it's okay to be white, and love your nation. Meanwhile, non whites who racially abused police officers to their face received no jail time whatsoever. Melia was locked up for offensive stickers. The same judge gave a man who was caught possession of child sex images no jail time. Others are free to commit all kinds of horrendous acts to escape justice, but apparently stickers are just beyond the pale. It's just so it's infuriating. But the tide is turning, and the sheep are getting pissed. Oh, what a time to be alive! Okay, almost done. So Pipkin mentioned this to me even from the Wall Street Journal, and I got the zero hedge version of this story. So, and this is actually a big deal. In unanimous decision, Supreme Court rules Trump to remain on presidential ballots. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in a unanimous. This is a big deal. They rarely do unanimous decisions. Decision that former President Donald Trump will be allowed to remain on primary and general ballots in the 2024 U.S. election after several states removed the former president under the 14th Amendment. The decision comes after several states, kicked off by Colorado Supreme Court, ruled that Trump disqualified from appearing on ballots, citing the interpretation of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment provision, which stipulates that candidates who engage in insurrection or rebellion against the United States, which Trump has not been charged with or convicted of, should be prevented from holding office. Maine's Democratic Secretary of State made a similar decision days later, and a judge of Illinois recently issued a similar ruling to prevent the appearance of ballots, according to Epoch Times. This was the first time in U.S. history that the U.S. Supreme Court considered Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The decision comes after a Sunday announcement that the court would come to the decision today. And, of course, the left is now trying to discredit the Supreme Court despite the fact it was a unanimous decision. They didn't get their way, so they're going to throw a shit fit. Of course they were going to fucking whining ass babies. Fuck these people. As Epoch Times notes, further, lawyers for the former president asked the 9 justices to reverse the Colorado court decision because only Congress can make the determination as who can become president. The Colorado court's decision was the first time in history of the United States that the judiciary had prevented the voters from casting the ballots for the leading major party presidential candidate, his lawyer said, concluding that is not and cannot be correct. And blah, blah, blah. So, sanity has prevailed in this one instance, and the usual suspects are fucking reading. It's fucking great. Get fucked. Oh god. And less entertaining news. I should have saved the other article too. So apparently Kenya is leading a UN task force to go to Haiti and help them out because gangs overrun Haiti's 2 largest prisons, freeing nearly 4,000 criminals as U.S. urges all Americans to exit. Haiti's problem just went from bad to worse as the UN embattled Haitian government of Ariel Henry, who is currently abroad as armed rebels seek his ouster. Prepare a Kenyan peacekeeping force. Yeah, that was the one I read myself earlier. To intervene amidst constant armed gang warfare, which has taken over the streets of Port-au-Prince. Despite for months not having had control of the capital city, authorities have ordered nighttime curfew following gunmen overrunning the country's 2 biggest prisons. And pretty much the gangs broke out their friends, and shit be wild in Haiti right now. Well, shit's been fucked in Haiti for a long while now. I feel bad. I really do feel bad for them. Fuck. Just Haiti hasn't been, Haiti honestly hasn't been the same since that earthquake like years ago. I was just like, fuck. I just feel bad. Uh, I wish Kenya the best, but they're working under the branch of the United Nations, and United Nations has a long history with Haiti, and Haiti has a long relationship with the United Nations, and I can imagine only good things are going to come from that. Uh, okay, this one gonna end on a funny one. This one tickled me quite good. Canadian leftists furious over Alberta town that voted to ban pride flags on public property. It's a little misleading, but we'll get to it. The woke movement is not about civil rights movement fighting for equality. It's a political cult movement fighting for supremacy. Once this fact is understood, every other agenda being pursued by a political left today becomes crystal clear. I agree. When a movement claims to be fighting for equality, the insinuation is that the people involved do not have equal rights under the law. Yet, whenever these activists are asked to give examples of rights they want others to have, they stutter and stumble. The great trick used by the political left is that by simply saying that they are fighting for equality, this is a way to automatically justify every one of their actions, no matter how antagonistic and insidious. By simply saying they are fighting for equality, they paint themselves as the good guys, even when they are the bad guys. Any such cases, we've seen this a million times. What is true? What is the true leftist vision for diversity, equity, and inclusion? What do they think equal rights look like since equal rights under the law are apparently not enough? Well, they want to be the ones in charge with the special privileges. Ugh. We have been seeing examples of what they really want in towns and cities across the US and Canada. They want total saturation of their ideology in every corner of society. Equality for them means no one is allowed to escape. Everyone must be bombarded with activist propaganda every day and everywhere, from movies to commercials to news media to local parades to public schools and even crosswalks and flagpoles, which is the crux of today's article. No other group, political or religious, gets this kind of special treatment in America or Canada. No other group is offered much, so much privilege and protection. The holy grail for the woke movement today is the saturation of woke symbols in public spaces protected by government force. In other words, they want pride flags to become ubiquitous on the streets and in government buildings as the American flag in America or the Canadian flag in Canada. Why is it acceptable that the woke movement is given precedence over all other ideals? A small town in Alberta, Westlock, asked this very same question after their leftist council and mayor supported a campaign to raise pride flags on public flagpoles and paint a pride mural on a primary crosswalk. A motion was offered to make Westlock's public spaces politically neutral, which the council promptly shot down. So instead, the public put the decision to a vote. In a narrow win of 663, three short, three short for the funny number, to 639 votes, a rule banning all display of political messaging from public land was passed. This should be normal. No special treatment, nothing. And leftists across Canada are furious. The Canadian media quickly moved to admonish the vote in an attempt to shame the town. In an interview below, Mayor Westlock, John Kramer, repeats DEI mantras, arguing that inclusion is non negotiable as if brainwashed. The propaganda message, not putting far left symbols on display on public land in your town, is a sign that your town is hateful. In other words, signal your virtue at all times, or else. In response, activists in Canada have falsely portrayed Westlock vote as a decision to ban all pride flags. The disinformation is obviously designed to provoke outrage by leftists across the country. Though progressives often worship at the altar of pure democracy, they still refuse to accept any majority decision that does not go their way. Leftists seem to assert that the closed nature of the vote negates the outcome of the vote. Groups say they will send pride banners to residents of the town to be placed on their lawns. If they can't have the saturation on public property, they want the saturation on private property. Even if you aren't conspiracy minded in the slightest, you are probably beginning to wonder if this is an attempt by a political group to overwhelm the existing culture and take over. Yes. Yes, it is. That is exactly what's happening. If any other political movement tried to force their symbols on target population the way pride activists do, they would be run out of these towns on a rail and no one would be surprised. But when the woke people are shown the door, their narrative is that bigots are waging war on change. Of course, not all change is good, positive, or warranted. So that's that. Okay, lost a bunch of people. I wonder if Proctor's streaming. Does that say why? I knew it. I fucking knew it. It does make sense. Ooh, new Red Letter Media video. Okay. I know I'm watching. Fuck the monk. Uh, oh no. It's a Josh episode. No. Okay. Jay. Jay, you better carry the video. Because fuck Josh. Jesus fuck. Okay. Well, I'm going to call it there. Thanks for coming. Take it easy. Later.